Hello there, dear viewers, and welcome to the Allotment Family Diary, a YouTube channel dedicated to documenting family life on 5 allotment plots in the United Kingdom. Technically 2 full plots and a half plot. My name's Tom, and today it's the 13th of March. It's Thursday. It's a bit chilly today, but I want to bring you up to speed on a few things. I say a few things, a lot of things that have been going on at the allotment. As many of you are aware, my mum Tilly has recently undergone middle foot fusion surgery, and it's going to be a long road to recovery for her, so she's not been able to be at the allotment since she had the operation about a month ago, and I've been holding down the fort. Yes, holding down the fort indeed. Han, my wife, has been very busy with work recently, and my dad Nick obviously has been taking care of Tilly, so it has fallen on my shoulders to take care of all of our allotment plots, and that's what I've been doing. So let's bring you up to speed, because there is a lot to catch up on. So as you guys are aware, we have our garlic growing away nicely on mine and Han's plot. We have 3 varieties. We have Solent White, Topodrome and Elephant Garlic. So recently I have hoed the ground over between the garlic just to break the soil up, aerate it a bit. Apparently it's really good for plants for doing that. And I've also added coffee grinds to the garlic because they love the stuff. They just can't get enough of it. And you know me, I drink a lot of coffee, so there's a lot of coffee grind going around. So that was a great job to do, and it looks so much better now. Like, it just looks really neat and tidy. I like neat and tidy allotments. I don't know about you guys, each to their own, but that's just my thing. Recently I noticed, it was a bit of a shock actually, because I'd only just moved our kale to one of the raised beds on our plot, and I was picking some, you know, getting ready for dinner, and it started going to seed. So I was a bit concerned. I kind of read up, and it could be, you know, some sort of like shock or the plant's in distress. But then I noticed, I looked around the allotment, and there's other people with kale, and the same thing has happened to theirs. So I'm not alone. I've not done anything wrong as far as I'm aware. And apparently this could be down to the weather, because it's been so changeable recently. So anyway, that kale, we are going to let it go to flower, because apparently the flowers are edible, and I reckon that'll be something great to show you guys on the channel to see what they taste like, and we'll maybe see if Han can rustle up a tasty dish with them. Number 3 on the list, as you guys know, we recently reskinned our polytunnel, and it's looking great. It's fantastic. It's so nice. We're so happy. And we had a space of land in between the road and polytunnel itself. It's a track that cars use to go up and down, and also it sees a lot of traffic from people on foot. We've had a lot of instances of vegetable theft up here in the past, as you guys are probably aware, and we didn't really want to grow anything, you know, that you could eat, anything people could just walk past and pick and take. So we decided we would plant wildflowers, nasturtiums, and anything to kind of attract pollinators, anything that's great for the bees. So Tilly's neighbour, Bev, thank you Bev, gave us a huge pile of nasturtium seeds that were left on her plot from nasturtiums that had previously flowered. I've mixed those up with some compost, dug over the ground nicely, and I've chucked those in the ground, and they can pop up when the weather improves slightly. I've also added 2 clusters of 3 lavender plants, 3 in each cluster, and this is the Rosea variety, a pink lavender, and it's fantastic for bees. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, and we'll add some more wildflower seed when the chance of frost has disappeared. Number 4 on the list. So as you guys are probably aware, if you are channel members, Tilly and I went to a gardening centre the other day. There's a members vlog on that one, do check it out. It was Tilly's first real trip out of the house. I had to obviously push her around in the wheelchair because she can't walk, but we picked up lots of plants. Tilly's got lots for the garden, and I've got a few for our tiny flower patch right in the middle of our plots. So this is one that we wanted to use again to attract pollinators right into the centre of the allotment, with the idea that they will then spread out and pollinate plants in the surrounding areas of our allotment. I picked up 3 lovely plants. I have an astilbe, a potentilla, and a campanula, and these are going to look lovely when they're in bloom. Number 5 on the list, I told you I've been busy. was prepping our melon bed. Now our melon seeds have gone in, they're in Tilly's polytunnel. We're growing Sugar Baby and Malaga. You guys probably saw in a previous vlog that Hannah and I had to reskin our mini polytunnel, our cold frame outside, and the ground has been prepped. It was full of weeds. Basically the top came in and we had to replace the top. We had storms, we had birds landing on it. That's why the skin went, and it was just full of weeds. So I've cleared those weeds out, dug the ground over, and I have added chicken pellets and 6X fertilizer to that. That's all been dug in, and now it's just awaiting those lovely little melons to grow and be planted inside of it. Number 6 on the list. Now this was quite a big job. So I had to prepare our pumpkin patch. As you guys know, we are growing warty goblin and zombie pumpkins this year. This plot was completely covered with straw and chicken manure. So when we clean our chickens out, we don't waste it. We either compost what's left or we put it on top of a plot because it suppresses the weeds. It saves putting down membrane or covering the ground, and it will also fertilize the ground. So I had to dig all of this up. It took quite a while. I made sure nothing went to waste. Any excess that was left, I put in our compost, and I've also been using it to fill another raised bed over on Tilly's plot. So I had to rake over the ground and yeah, get it all nice and prepped for those pumpkins. I cannot wait for those pumpkins. Looking at the spacing, I reckon we're gonna have 4 zombie and 4 warty goblin. But that was quite a job, and getting my muscles back, it feels great. And finally, number 7 on the list. Fairly small job, but as you guys know, I planted a lot of green manure last year. I went on a green manure frenzy for some reason, and we have a raised bed. Well, I planted some, and this I've snipped it all down. I use scissors because it's a fairly small raised bed, and I've dug that into the soil. Once the green manure is rotted down, which will take a few weeks, Hannah can then start planting her edible flowers for her edible flower garden. And speaking of green manure, that brings us on to a job today, which I wanted to film and I wanted to show you guys because, you know, you would have seen us planting the green manure, you would have seen its progress. And today I'm going to be cutting down the green manure and digging it into a plot which will have our leeks in it this year. So I've got the strimmer, I've got my fork. Let's get that done. Green manure is a fantastic way to fix nitrogen in the soil, and seeing as this is where we want to plant our leeks, so that's why we've chosen to put the green manure in this area. I was on the fence about planting green manure because I've heard it's quite a lot of work. A few people up here have said the same thing. They don't tend to do it, but I wanted to give it a go. So what I need to do today is get it strimmed over. I think it's going to be messy. I'm pretty sure it's going to go everywhere, and then just get it dug into the ground. We'll leave that to rest for about 3 to 4 weeks, and that should give us enough time for our leeks to catch up, ready to be planted. Let's give it a go. Okay, well, that's it. I have tried to chop it up as finely as I can. A lot of advice says to really use a lawnmower, but you know, we don't have any electricity up here. There's really no point in having a petrol lawnmower just to like do a few jobs like this. So I think it will be all right. I mean, I'm just looking at the ground and I can still see weeds in here. So that, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, you know, after this has all been dug in and the leeks are planted. I think we're still going to get weeds coming up, definitely. It's not a foolproof coverage, like you will get weeds by the look of it. It's sort of guaranteed to prevent all weeds. So I'm going to dig it in now and we'll see what the soil's like, because it should apparently break up the soil quite nicely. But let's get the fork in the ground and we'll have a look. Right, should we just do a test dig? Let's have a look. So this ground was actually dug over before we planted the green manure, but let's just have a look. It's going in fairly easily. See, yeah, I mean, well, it's breaking up nicely actually. Yeah, look at that. I was worried this was going to take me hours to do. Might still take a long time, but it's okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to go work from the top to the bottom and just dig it all in as best I can. Let's crack on with that. that is that. I would say this has probably taken about 2 hours to dig over and rake in. So people aren't lying when they say it's a lot of hard work. I mean, remember, we've had to grow this over the winter. It's then had to be trimmed. It's then had to be dug in. So it is a lot of work. If you don't have much time on your hands when you're at the allotment, then I wouldn't probably recommend green manure, but we'll see how this goes with our leeks. I did have a wheelbarrow full of soil that I've saved, also with some green manure mixed into it, and that has been taken over to Tilly's plot because she had a raised bed that I needed to top up, and this is where our kohlrabi will be grown this year. I've also added another 2 bags of compost on top of it just to finish it off. So I've managed to get another job done, and hopefully that raised bed will benefit from the green manure too. So it's a win-win situation. So as you can see, there is a lot of excess green manure left on top of the soil, but that's fine. I'm going to leave this, just let it rot into the soil, so all of its benefits is going back into it. Once it's dried out, I'm then gonna rake the top over and it will look just as lovely as our new pumpkin patch. So speaking of raking things over, you may have seen me use this quite a lot so far in this video. Now this was an inherited tool. It was from the shed on our new plot. And I'll tell you what, it's my new favorite tool. So let's go and have a chat about it. So this, my friends, is a scarifier. So it is primarily used for removing something called thatch, which is a layer of dead grass from lawns, and it aerates the soil and allows water into the soil too. And do you know what? I found this in the shed and I thought, I've got a really good use for it. I didn't know what it was at the time until I researched it, and I've been using it I've been aggressively running it across the soil to break up big clods of earth. Also then using the smaller end to rake over the top, and it brings out all the stones and like little bits of pottery and things like that. It's great. It's amazing. I know I'm not using it for its intended purpose, but it works for me, and that is how I've been getting our soil to look so lovely. Up my glovies from Tilly's shed. So what I want to do now is get our shallot sets in the ground in one of the new raised beds that we've built recently. Now the shallots that we have are a variety called Yellow Moon. We actually bought them about 5 weeks ago. Now Tilly, just before she had her operation about a month ago, put these into little pots, and they've been in her polytunnel because apparently this helps to bring the roots on before they go into the raised bed that we're putting them in. So yeah, I didn't know that. It's a really good tip. So let's go grab them from the polytunnel and then get them in the ground. And here we are, our lovely Yellow Moon shallots ready to go into this raised bed. So spacing wise, according to the RHS, the best spacing for them is between 6 to 8 inches. So to play safe, I'm going to go for 7. Generally, when I see things like this, like advice, it has to be like between 5 to 10 or something like that. I'll always go for the middle ground because surely you can't go wrong. And Chase has come to say hi again. So row wise, they recommend 12 to 18 inches. Gone for a bit bigger than that because we've got a little surprise to go in the middle in the end. But let's have a look and see how they've actually got on, because that thing Tilly said about the roots, I'm intrigued to see if it has actually happened. Now you'll probably notice they're quite soggy. That's because Tilly's polytunnel had a leak and this whole tray flooded, so I did try to dry them out. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, yeah, there is some root action going on there. So let's get the first one in. Right, so let's just dig a little hole with the trowel. As you can see, some lovely compost in here. This Jack's Magic stuff is great. We're not sponsored by them, but I've just heard good things, and I've not found one piece of trash in them like you do with a lot of composts, which is great. So we're just going to get it in, and then apparently it's just a case of, similar to the onions, just mounding it up to about there. Okay, let's crack on with the rest. I have a fan club of chickens watching me do this. They are very intrigued. Well, at least Penny is. Well, there we go. All of the shallots are in, and you might notice there's a line going through the middle there. So what's going on with this line? Well, Boltardi beets. Apparently, these are a brilliant companion crop for shallots. Pest deterrent, soil improver. So I thought, let's give it a grow. So I'm just going to sow these very thinly because these really don't like being transplanted, so I'm not going to start them off in seed trays. I've already watered this row as well. So we just pop them in, and then as they start growing, we'll thin them out. Well guys, I hope you have enjoyed this week's video. Stay tuned for the next one because we're going to deconstruct the shed. We've already started, and oh, what a job. Anyway guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Do drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel as well. It's going to be very busy soon. It's already busy, but it's great. It's wonderful, and the weather's improving slightly. Still a bit chilly though. Anyway guys, thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Take care.